Brian.
Hello.
Let's talk today about life care planning and your role in life care planning. So, you've been a life care planner with IMS Legal Strategies for about 5 years now. How did you get into life care planning?
Well, it's an interesting story. COVID changed a lot of things. I had been a physical therapist for 20 years when COVID hit and doing home health, doing visits, working 40 hours a week. And then when COVID hit, it went to basically nothing. And I had to sit at home and go, I need to do something else here.
Hmm.
I've been a physical therapist for 20 years. I might have to make a career change here. What am I going to do?
Hmm.
Open up the newspaper, and lo and behold, there's an advertisement for a life care planner in there. And I'm reading the job description. I'm like sitting in front of an attorney in deposition or at trial, answering questions, defending a report. I'm like, that's something I think I could really get into and use my experience as a physical therapist to kind of move into this
Hmm.
career path. And, I called you, and then 5 years later, here we are.
Here we are. That's right. So, how does your experience as a physical therapist help you in developing or reviewing life care plans?
Well, a physical therapist is specifically trained in assessing function.
Hmm.
So, as a physical therapist, uh, 20 years of practice, most of that was in home health. I would go into patients' home and assess them as to how they moved
Hmm.
in their home environment,
Right.
how they get up and down out of chairs, how they get in and out of bed. Can they walk up and down the hallway or up and down the stairs? Do they need any assistance with that? Do they need a walker, a wheelchair? Maybe does their home need to be modified?
Hmm.
And so, as a physical therapist, assessing their function, that can contribute a lot to what kind of supportive care somebody's going to need in a life care plan.
Hmm. And how is a physical therapist different from, say, like an occupational therapist? Like, what do you focus on when you look at someone's body besides function? Like, what part of our function?
Okay, well, generally speaking, there's a lot of overlap.
Hmm.
Physical therapists, occupational therapists work on some of the same things.
Right.
We can both work on gait and balance, but if you really want to draw a line, a lot of people will say the physical therapist works on below the waist and the
Mhm.
occupational therapist works above the waist.
Okay.
Physical therapists will work on gross motor skills, occupational therapy will work on fine motor skills.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense. And you also have a background working with pediatric patients and adult patients too. But when you're preparing a life care plan or reviewing a life care plan for a pediatric person, how is that different? Um, what are their needs compared to an adult?
They're very different. An adult has already developed, they're usually working,
Mhm.
they've chosen a career. A pediatric client is still developing both their cognition and their physical function. So they don't typically have their career job yet.
Mhm.
They're still going to school. Their job is play. So it's how do they move around in their environment physically? Their cognition is still developing as well. So you have to take all that into account when it's a pediatric client. If they're severely injured, what kind of equipment are they going to need to enhance the exploration of their environment?
Right.
Um, if I'm working at it from a defense side, I need to look at the other life care plan and say, are there assumptions being made here? Are they trying to provide a level of care that isn't justified yet? Is it just speculative?
Hmm.
Those are some of the things I'll look at on the defense side.
Do you ever find that sometimes you're reviewing a plaintiff's life care plan and they've projected the worst case scenario?
Yes, I've actually seen that happen before. There are life care planners that will put just that in their life care plan, worst case scenario. And that's not really what life care planners do. We write life care plans based on what is medically necessary related to the event. Um, and if you're doing worst case scenario, then that is by definition a potential treatment,
Mhm.
and potential costs are not put into a life care plan. So they shouldn't be added into the life care plan.
Mhm. In fact, when you're talking to someone's treating physician and you're writing a plaintiff life care plan, you ask them what is more likely than not to occur, right?
That is part of the process.
Hmm.
So we gather information. One of the steps in the process is contacting treating physicians that might have recommendations related to the event in question. So we talk to as many treating providers as we can to obtain all the information we need
Hmm.
to develop the life care plan. And the medical recommendations come from the treating providers. That's not something that I come up with on my own.
Right. But I'm sure you collaborate with them and help inform them from your angle of being a physical therapist and help add to that picture of what care needs there are.
Sure. I mean, I collaborate with them. Um, I've usually done the interview by the time I talk to consulting, treating physicians.
Hmm.
And if there's something I can contribute to the discussion, like, well, in my interview, we talked about how he couldn't get up and down the stairs.
Hmm.
So, is this person going to need some sort of equipment in the home to help them get up and down the stairs?
Hmm.
Different issues. There's a lot of different things that can come up in the conversation. But
Right.
again, the medical opinions are the physicians, but we can collaborate and I can talk to them about what I've seen in the interview, and then they make the medical recommendation.
Hmm. Okay. Well, thank you for your time today, Brian. It's good to talk to you about all this.
Sure.